Okay, so we have Rebecca with us this week, and we're going to catch up and see what Rebecca has been up to during lockdown and quarantine, and just a general we catch up.
Okay.
Hello, Rebecca.
Hi, it's good to be here.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm the very best. I'm doing well, despite everything.
Yeah.
Um, so you're working from home?
Yes, I have. I think I've hit the 2 month mark for working at home.
Oh, you're just a
So,
wee bit ahead of everyone else.
yeah, so I would really love to not be working from home, but you get used to it.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, if you put your shoes on, it makes a difference while you work. I've heard
I
that
mean,
advice.
there's definitely been a few meetings I've turned up to in my jammies, so shoes would be,
Okay, well, you know what? We're not going to judge.
yeah,
So, other than work that you've been doing for longer, maybe than most people have even been off school and things, how
yeah.
have you been occupying yourself outside of that?
So, I have been doing a wee bit of embroidery, which I have here, but it wasn't something I had planned for at all. Actually, a friend in work had shown me this website called Make Boxes where you can just like go and order, I think it's like around £20, like this wee crafty thing, and
Uh-huh.
they send you everything you need. So we were looking through it and we were like, oh, like this one looks like there were ones where like painting, and I was like, I cannot paint, and like things like that. That I was like, that wouldn't interest me. But then there was one that was embroidery. So I started that. So it sends you to, in my packet, they sent me two things. So it sent me like a bee thing and some flowers. So
Uh-huh.
here's my bee.
Oh, very
And
nice.
here's my three roses. And that's as far as I've got with this one.
So you finished your
But
B and you're on to the second one.
yeah, so I finished my bee.
How long did that take you?
So I, like, I worked at it on and off for about 2 weeks, I would say, just kind of like doing bits and pieces. So like the legs were a nightmare. I was
Uh-huh.
So it depends. Like some nights I would just kind of do like an hour or something, and then there'd be other nights where. So when I was doing the legs, I was like, okay, I've started this. I know I won't return to this unless I get the legs sorted
Yes.
because they were just like such a nightmare.
Uh-huh.
So I got quite a lot of done. So it depends, but yeah, like on and off two
Is it the
weeks.
kind of thing you can do while like watching TV, or do you need to be like needle focused to
Yeah,
experience
I've done like I would do it watching TV. I like it's okay. Like it depends how much of a perfectionist you are. Like
it?
I'm fine with it being like a wee bit askew, but like if you're someone that like needs to be really concentrated, I guess you could. But like you could do it watching TV. I've done it as well when like I'm having a conversation with people and like when you're all just chilling out,
Hmm.
like just to kind of have because I feel like nowadays everyone has like loads of energy because we can't go outside.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of something to do with my hands when I'm talking, but it's really like
It's a creative fidget
I
spinner. Fidget spinner.
sorry.
It's a creative
Yes,
fidget spinner.
yeah,
I even said that.
definitely. But it's really like I wouldn't because I kind of use it as my zero technology time.
Hmm.
Like I wouldn't really do it when I'm watching TV. It just depends, like if I'm in the mood to watch TV that night or if there's something
Okay,
I really want to watch. But because it's something that I use for no technology time, then I quite like it.
that's cool. So, what exactly do you do? Like, I know I've heard of embroidery and cross stitch and needlepoint stuff. Is that all the same, or is there? Give us a wee quick tutorial on what you do.
So I think it depends from thing to thing. So with cross stitching is kind of like where you make wee X's.
Okay,
So if you look here, these are all kind of like, well, this one's all straight
hold
lines.
it up a wee bit higher
Yeah,
there.
sorry. This
Uh,
one's all like straight lines. So what
yeah.
I did with this one is they gave me a piece of paper
Uh huh.
and you kind of like traced your paper with carbon paper underneath it onto this, and then you like stitched drawings of the sign and then basically colored in with thread, which is
Okay.
what these here are. And then with the roses, you kind of did, if I can show you at the back, you
Up a wee
did
bit.
up a bit, sorry. So with the roses, you kind of do this thing at the back where you go. round, like you go and do those 7 stitches, and then you kind of weave in and out, which created the roses.
Okay. What's the back of the
Um,
bee look like?
the back of the bee has been sewn
Oh,
shut,
okay.
which is very
Is it like a
so.
very abstract version of the V then?
It's a mess. So actually, funny story. My mom has just retired, so she's like doing the deep clean of the house and like going through her cupboards, and she finds some of my granny's embroidery
Hmm.
from before she died, and like, well, obviously before she died, um, but she, but she was like she was showing me it, and like the back of my bee is a mess. Like it's just like, there were times where I couldn't get the thread through because there was like all these like clumps of like thing, and then like you look at the back of my nana's one and it's like exactly the same as the front.
Right?
Like maybe it's like one loose thread, and I'm
Yeah.
like, damn it, like how do you get that good? So, but yeah, so really, if you wanted to do it yourself, like yes, I ordered a kit, and to be fair, I think the kit was really good value because it gave me everything I needed, like
Hmm.
needles and stuff. But like all you really need is like these hoop things are quite helpful because then you can like do it on that, but just thread and a needle and some material.
Okay.
And like I'll show you what, like this is just the pattern. So this is the flower pattern.
Uh-huh.
And like if you just had any pattern, you could trace it
Okay.
and stick it. You could just trace it, and you probably can't see it because it's so dark, but that's just what's on it. Basically, it's just like a pencil. So even if you were like, I suck at drawing, so I would never do it. But even if you were good at drawing, you could draw a pattern on it and just sew it, and then you like outline it and then go around and like fill in the gaps.
Okay.
But there's probably some really good YouTube tutorials as well, I would say.
Probably. Well, so it is like, I mean, I think you described it really well there, is coloring in with thread.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Like it's just coloring in with thread, like especially this one because you outlined it first and then colored
uh-huh.
it in. And
Nice.
then it's good because it doesn't have to be exact and you can kind of go over it a wee bit. So
Yeah. No, that's
yeah.
really cool. That's really cool. So you're gonna do a couple more of these then?
Yeah, so I actually found this course online that like shows you how to do loads of different things and shows you how to do it on t-shirts and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it's really cute because then like I have so many plain white t-shirts, so it'd be good to like, add something to that. And you know, like because like one thing I kind of like is it's something that's so personal and like you can just kind of do it yourself. So like they were even like tea towels and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like with this actually it worked out quite nice. With this one it actually worked out quite nicely because um I actually had loads of bead material somewhat like left in the house that I was like I was going to make a notice board with, and then I kind of started thinking and I was like, oh well, like I'm planning to move house. So I was like, oh well, like when I move house, like that would be really like if I have this and this bee material, then my study could maybe have like some wee cute bee things. So then I bought some like bee doorknobs and changed my furniture doorknobs to bee. Like not all of them because I'm not insane, but like just a few. Like, and it just kind of was like, because that's something I found quite hard with lockdown is right now I would have been like, so I had started buying a house. So right now I would have been preparing to move into that house,
Mm.
and then like it's not cancelled but everything's paused.
Hmm.
So because things just can't go through during lockdown, so I find that quite hard because I was like, oh, like this is happening, it's so exciting, and all of a sudden someone just paused like the
Yeah.
movie of my life.
Yeah.
Damn it, like I want to prepare, and so it's kind of a really nice way for me to do that. And like when I move into my house, I'll have this random bee embroidery and I'll be able to be like, oh yeah, like that's what I did in lockdown.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you know
The
like
lockdown 2020B.
yeah. And then because we found my granny's unfinished embroidery and stuff, my mom was like, well, when you figure out how to do it neatly,
Hmm.
you can like you could finish that, which would be quite cute because I
That's
actually
cool.
have tons of thread because I use it to make friendship bracelets like for my when I did teams during summer.
Uh-huh.
So I've like a box full of thread.
That's
So
cool.
yeah.
That's cool. What is your Sunday morning setup for church?
So our Sunday morning setup is in this room. Actually, it's a wee bit of a mess right now because I was fixing the cupboards. But so my mum and I sit in the big sofa. My dad sits on the smaller sofa. We get a cup of coffee. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
We get a cup of coffee and we just watch it together. And it's quite good because it's actually quite good to have a pause button, I think. Because like if you don't hear something or if like you have a question, it's quite good to be able to pause it and be like, what's going on here? Or
So you're going to miss that when we go back to normal church?
I'll be like,
You
oh,
can't
Angus,
pause Angus.
can we just like rewind, Angus? And he'll be like, but I find that quite helpful. Like it's good. Like it's strange. Like it is strange sitting at home and watching TV and your minister's on TV giving the sermon. Like that's really strange, but it is good. Like I'm really so thankful. Like, and it's so easily accessible for us. Like I know everyone's doing the best they can, and they're like I know loads of churches are doing the same thing, but it's just so good to have like something that's so easily to just like we can just go and do it. Like we don't have to spend hours setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no like, oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated, I can't be bothered doing this. It's like, it's so easy and so simple for us to do.
Yeah, it's just press play, really.
Yeah, and it's like good because then like even like I've been able to send it to my granny and things. Like her church does have things online, but just sound. So then it's quite nice for her to be able to like see stuff and kind of like and have like other things. And like honestly, like my granny's loving lockdown. She's like, I get to go to like 5 different churches, and it's like, oh, this is amazing. So it's like I think it's a good way to do it, and it's a good thing as well. I think because kind of makes us see how things could work in the future. Like if, like if this goes on. So sorry, that was total waffle there.
That's okay. That's okay. Anything you want to share or recommend or encourage the Hope Street ones to do before we finish?
I think just like step away from your computers, like step away, like or your phones. I think it's really important to have downtime, and I think we talk a lot of talk about how this should be able to help us slow down and like spend more time with God. And I like that's what I kind of thought at the start. I was like, oh, this will be great because I'll automatically be able to spend more time with God.
Yeah.
Because like I won't be around people. And then it was crazy how much my schedule actually filled up. And it came like, and then there were like little bits of quiet where normally like that's kind of where I spent my time with God, like in my car or something that I lost.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to actually gain that time back.
Yeah.
So I think just like don't take it for granted that don't kind of assume that just because you're not at school and things that you are making more time for God. So I think and that's something that's actually made me quite sad. I'm like, oh, I really wish that I was like doing more. But I think like find some hobby, like use this time to find new hobbies. Like I think it'll be quite cute if 50 years from now and you're talking to your grandchildren and you're like telling them about a time, like you can talk about like how you spent your time, and it wasn't I stayed on my sofa all day and played video games. Like I love video games, they're great, but like it's quite nice to like I think lockdown's such a strange time. I really enjoy having something where I can be like, this is what I did.
Yeah.
So like it's something that came from lockdown, and just those little bits of good news in your own life, like and like it could be the same with like what you're doing in your quiet time. So like in lockdown, that's when I studied the Psalms. And kind of like that really like being able to see clear results from it. But also if it's stressing you out, sit on the sofa and watch TV, like it's fine.
But I think you're right. Any gaps in our schedules or empty time, we will quickly fill up.
Yeah.
By default, I'm probably by default not with the best stuff.
Yeah, like I've been really like lockdowns really made me realize what my idols are, and like it's hard because I think the hardest idols you have are the idols that you can't completely discard because, you know, it'd be so like you would love to like burn them and be like leave them all behind, and like, but there's like idols, like I find work to be a very big idol for me.
Hmm.
And you know, normally I was able to be like, oh well, I can't do this because I have to go to church tonight, or I can't do, and that was kind of my discipline there. And
Yeah.
now that discipline has left, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm finding it really hard to be like, okay, I can't work because at this point because I need to be spending time with God. But you know, like like you know that story about Rachel where she like hides the idols and she's like sitting
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing that sometimes. I'm like, no idols here, but like, so it's interesting. It's just like I think like lockdown requires a lot of self-discipline, which definitely like it's not one of my fruits of the spirit. So
Well, it's a time to grow them fruits.
yeah,
Um,
self-discipline is a fruit of the spirit, right? Yeah.
I'm trying to think now. Somehow you put me on the spot. Joy, peace, joy, and patience, self-control. Yeah, which I think is yeah, same sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a fear that like I would say that and then like, you
I
know.
had to sing the song in my head. Yeah, well, that's great. Thanks for catching up with us, and we'll hopefully see you soon
Hopefully. So
in
excited.
person rather than over screens. So, thanks for chatting.
No problem.